cars getting coffee last night on Netflix, and I'm going to bet that Jerry Seinfeld doesn't think that his show is being quoted from a bima somewhere, but it is. And he made the observation that there's a word that has disappeared from our language, company. We have company coming over. Don't touch that cake, it's for company. Right? That is a word that somehow, or at least in my world, has left our culture. Right? We might say we're having people over, but we don't say we're having company. On page 20 of our Siddur, we arrive at the ultimate company of all. We get to invite the Sabbath bride in, and hopefully it is a harbinger of times when we can once again have company over and we can be together in person. Page 20, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, lekrakala. B'nei Shabbat nehekabela echad dodi lekrak kala B'nei Shabbat nehekabela Shamo v'zachor b'dibor echad Ishmiyanu el hamyochad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemot tifiret v'litila lechad dodi Lekrak HaShabbat B'nei Shabbat nehekabela Lechad dodi Lekrak kala B'nei Shabbat nehekabela. And in your imaginary home, and pretend that you're in the sanctuary and face the rear of the sanctuary as we welcome the Sabbath Queen. Boi v'shalom ater bala gam b'simcha osohala toch emunei am segola boi kala Lecha dodi lekrak kala B'nei Shabbat nehekabela Lecha dodi lekrak kala B'nei Shabbat nehekabela.
On Shabbat, we embrace a value that we have actually up in our sanctuary off to the side. I know you might not be able to see it tonight, but it is a sign that says Ledor Vador, from generation to generation. We pass on our traditions to the next generation, and we recall the things that we ourselves have learned, that we are embracing as a community and as a Jewish people. And so tonight, I want to offer you to make use once again of the chat function of how we are watching this evening, and maybe share a lesson that you learned from a teacher or a parent, or maybe a lesson that you've strived to share with your children or your students. And hopefully you can embrace and hold on to those values, those things we pass on from generation to generation. As I read these words for us this evening, I invite you to join in. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence be with you and grant you peace. And together we say, Amen.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha V'yasem lecha shalom.
I will be lighting our candles here in the sanctuary. Cantor Green will be singing the prayers. Please join in with us at home if you have candles at your house.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the one I love. Bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
With our candles lit, we sanctify the name of God. If you have a Siddur at home, we're on page 26 with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikra v'yikra shemei Rabba, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlech malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, bagala uv'izman kariv v'imaro. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, li'olam lo me'omaya yitaborach, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yinama v'yinaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalav shmer kursha brechu li'ela mikol b'kata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da mihiran b'yalama v'yimaro. Amen.
We arrive at the Baruch Hu on page 28. I'll invite you to rise if you're able to.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We turn to page 30 as we acknowledge the rhythms of the day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv arabim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עיתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Arabim. We continue with Ahavat Olam on page 32.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amechavta Torah u'mitzvot Chokim u'mishpatim אותנו למדתה. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Va'ed.
May be seated. We continue with the Be'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Next week, we begin a very special festival, the festival of Hanukkah. And during that festival, we commemorate and we remember and we celebrate the Maccabim. You know, the actual name, their last name were the Hashmonaim, the Hasmoneans. And so a lot of people ask, where does Maccabi come from? Some people say that it's Aramaic for hammer, that they were the Hebrew hammers, that they were such strong guys that people started calling them the Maccabim. Other people say that this is an acronym, that actually each letter of Maccabi stands for a phrase, a saying that embraced, that was the emblem of who they were. What were those words? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Who is like you amongst all the gods? This is not only the phrase that was sung as the Israelites crossed the sea, but it was a phrase likely that was in the hearts of the Maccabees as they went out into battle. We turn to page 40 for Mi chamocha.
Loi, 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 loi. Loi, 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 loi. Loi, 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 loi. Loi, 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 loi. 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 Loi, 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 loi. מי כמוך באוהלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. לי, 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 לי.
When I think about the Maccabees, I think about strong Jewish people who make their way in bravery towards whatever challenges come their way. I want to highlight 3 young people who tomorrow become young adults in the Jewish community: Will Rice, Maddie Kaufman, and Brandon Altman, who will all become bar and bat mitzvah tomorrow. And so this next prayer on page 42 is the Hashkivenu. It's the prayer that we can lie down peacefully tonight without any worries at all. I hope and wish that for all of us, but especially for our B'nai Mitzvah. May you have a good and easy rest tonight. Tomorrow is your day. Enjoy every second of it. Hashkivenu, page 42.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. הושמות צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu lechayim, hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu lechayim.
We celebrate on Hanukkah the fact that the Maccabees were willing to celebrate Shabbat, to keep Shabbat, even in the face of the threat of the Greeks. And I wonder what people will say of this generation, who will look back at us and say that those Jewish people were willing to keep Shabbat even when there was a pandemic in the world, even when they had to find all different ways to hold on to their faith. May the words of Veshamru inspire us to continue moving forward as we observe and keep Shabbat.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam b'heini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam le'olam le'olam. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai yai dai 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 dai. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash vayinafash vayinafash. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai yai dai 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 dai. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We arrive at the Amidah. We arrive at the prayer that probably has been said most of all throughout Jewish history. It's why, if you can remember or you have it in front of you, that actually at the top of what I have the habit of calling the Amidah, the Mishkan Tefillah prayer book actually calls Tefillah, prayer. Because at one point, this was it. This was what we had to go with. The words of these prayers, the 18 or 19 blessings during the week and just 7 here on Shabbat. And then it's mixed with probably the most important of all, the words that we have tonight. I ask you to set a kavanah, an intention. What is it that you need to say tonight? What is it that you need to hear tonight? May all of those words be on your lips as you say them, and may they reach your heart. We turn to page 46 for the Tefillah, the Amidah.
Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Sifatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Sifatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Sifatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Hawel, Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'Konei Ha'akol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem Lema'an Shemo B'Yahava Melech Hozeh U'Moshiach U'Maged Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham B'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'Lam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav LeHoshia Mashiv Haruach U'Mori Hagashem Mechakel Chayim Bechesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Ba'Geburot U'Mido Melech Melech Memihit U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai Hawel HaKadosh.
Days pass, and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing, and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. We turn to page 60 for Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki atah Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki atah Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'anecha levarech et amcha Yisrael בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב, הישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב, הישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
There has been a popular trend on Facebook to show people, by taking a picture of the view outside their window. It's, for many people, the only view we have these days. We can't necessarily go out and about, we can't travel to different places, and so all we have is the view outside our window. And yet, through the miracles of social media, we can have lots of views of where other people are. The same is true of community. Community allows us to not only see our world through our perspective, but to understand where other people are coming from, to understand how they see the world out of their proverbial window. In this moment, I am looking at the stained glass windows that are truly a hallmark of this community. And I want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to share in the chat what you're looking at tonight. What do you see? What brings you joy? What inspires you? It can be a thing, it can be a pet, it can be a person. I hope that we can all feel comfortable and continue to persevere wherever we are in this moment. And I hope that by sharing that with others, whether it's right here and now, or whether it's throughout this week maybe, sharing how you're seeing the world, I hope it brings you comfort. We take a few moments of silent prayer and meditation as we consider where we are in this moment.
עושה שלום במרמיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. When I was a rabbinical student in Israel, I had contacts from my year of playing, or my summer of playing baseball in Israel, and so I decided I would go and volunteer and teach baseball to Israelis. And I remember one of the first days I got there and I was teaching how to hit that day. And so I was telling the kids about how to hold their hands and how to line up their knuckles and how to keep their elbows and how to stride and how to stay balanced and how to swing and how to do all these things. And they all said, okay, that's all great. Well, what are we supposed to do? And I realized, oh, yeah, you're supposed to hit the ball. These kids were brand new to the game. They had no idea even what you were supposed to do with the bat. And it made me remember something really important, that when I was playing in the men's league in Israel, which, as you might imagine, is not a robust league, but it's still lots of fun, that when I was playing there and I was in a slump, I remembered, no, it's not about, lifting your elbow or keeping yourself balanced or doing all these things. No, the way you get out of a slump is hit the baseball. Just do it and bring it down to its essence. The most important thing of all. If you can think of that, if you can find that, the rest is going to fall into place. So why am I talking about baseball? Because I love to talk about baseball, but I promise there's other reasons as well. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I have that experience and I carry that with me whenever I teach Intro to Judaism. This year, I have the privilege and honor of teaching many of our congregants who are deciding to brush up on their skills and their Jewish knowledge, as well as people who may be approaching Judaism for the very first time. And so it is such a thrill and such an honor because I get to encounter and ask myself and wrestle with what is the very essence of Judaism? What is the most important core foundational thing that I can possibly convey to these new students? So tonight, in that spirit, I was thinking about what story am I going to tell? Hanukkah is coming up next week. There's all stories about the oil, and there's all stories about the Maccabees and all the different midrashim, the stories upon the stories of how this holiday is celebrated. But I arrived at this. I'd like to tell you the story of Hanukkah. I'm not a gambling man. Well, yes, I am. I do enjoy it sometimes. But what I want to say is I'm going to bet that you know this story. So I want to invite you to listen closely. Maybe you'll find something that you haven't heard before, or even if you've heard all of it, maybe there's something that you can add to the story, or a question that you've never asked yourself before. So once upon a time in the ancient land of Israel, and for those historians out there, in the middle of the 2nd century BCE, there was a group of young men called the Maccabees, the Hasmoneans. They were a group that were very zealous about their religion. They wanted to make sure that everyone was keeping close to the essence of Judaism and what it was all about. And first, they got very mad, actually, at their neighbors, because a lot of their neighbors were really interested in this new kind of culture called Hellenism. And they started to go to the gymnasium, and they started to do other things that Jewish people weren't accustomed to doing. And the Maccabees were very concerned that those people and the rest of the people of Israel would lose what it meant to be Jewish. To make things even worse, there was this guy out there, an emperor named Antiochus IV, Antiochus in Hebrew. And he was the emperor of the Greek Empire. And he, according to our tradition, was a very, very bad man. You see, he not only wanted everyone to be like him, but he felt very, very comfortable desecrating other people's beliefs and ideas. And so what happened? He brought his army to the land of Israel. And they came there and they didn't destroy it completely, but desecrated and ruined the holy temple, the Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem. There was this group these Hashmonaim, these Maccabees, and they said, we will not stand for this. And even though the Greek Empire was so much greater, and even though the odds were against them, they decided to wage a revolt against the Greeks. And they fought hard, and they fought in a style of guerrilla warfare that the Greeks were not anticipating. And before they knew it, well, sure it took a while, but before they knew it, they won. And the Greek Empire turned around, and they left that area for the Hashmonaim, the Hasmoneans, to establish their own dynasty. What happened once the Greeks left was that there was incredible celebration, there was incredible joy, and so everyone rushed to the temple, the Beit HaMikdash, the holy temple in Jerusalem, and in that place, they saw that it was, to use a technical term, a big mess. It was disgusting. The Greeks had desecrated the whole thing. And so what did the Hashmonaim do? What did the Maccabees do? They decided to rededicate the temple. If anyone has ever moved into a new house, perhaps Rabbi Marx has come to your house to do a Hanukat Habayit, a dedication of your home. That is where the word Hanukkah comes from. It is the dedication of the temple in Jerusalem, the rededication to make it pure and usable once more for the Jewish people. So they got their mops, I'm making this card up, but they got their mops and they got their brooms and they got whatever other cleaning supplies they had, their Swiffers, and they went and they cleaned it up. They made it crystal clean and beautiful and so wonderful, and they were all ready to light the menorah, the 7, not 8, but the 7-branched menorah that stood in the temple to count the days of the week. But there was a problem. You see, they were ready to light the Chanukiah, but they saw that there was only enough oil to last one day. So they lit it expecting that the menorah would go out after the first day. But something miraculous happened. It was still burning. And a second day went by, and it was still burning. And a third day, and a fourth day, and a fifth day, all the way to the 8th day, that little bit of oil, that little jug, the only pure oil left out of all the oil they had stored, lasted for 8 days. And then finally, their Amazon package arrived, and they had more oil. I can hear you laughing at home about Amazon, but seriously, that's when they got a new shipment and they were able to continue lighting the menorah. That, my friends, is the story of Hanukkah. And I'm reminded of a teaching that I want to share with you, which I am always inspired by, because when we light the Chanukiah, we light the 8-branched, or really 9, the shamash, the helper candle, and the 8 candles. We light them to remember that the oil lasted for 8 days. The ness, the miracle of the oil lasting for 8 days. But one of my teachers, Rabbi Sharon Kleinbaum, always likes to highlight another miracle that often gets overlooked. Think back to the story, to when the Beit HaMikdash was all clean. It was all set up beautifully. What happened? They looked at the oil, and they saw that they only had enough for one day. They could have just said, we can't light it. We don't have enough. Forget about it. Let's just move on. We'll wait for the oil to come. But no. What did they do? They said, we are going to use whatever we've got. We're going to make the most of it and see what happens. And what happened was a miracle. In these times when we are limited in our resources and our energy and our hope, we have to make the choice to make the most of what we have. If we can do that, you never know what kind of miracle will turn up. We have to make the choice to persevere, to go forward, and in the spirit of the Maccabees, be brave in times of darkness. And if we first make the choice in the darkness to bring light, we don't know just how much light is possible until we try. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Sameach, may you have a wonderful festival of lights next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're now going to sing Ma'atzur, which can be found in your Siddurim for those of you who are getting it digitally. It can be found on page 365 or 669 in brackets.
Ma'atzur Yeshuati Lecha Nawe L'Shabeach Tikkun Beit Tefilati B'Sham Toda Nizabeach Liet Tachid Matbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Hazegmor Bashir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Hazegmor Bashir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach.
There are plenty of people in our world who are suffering, plenty of people who are in need of healing. And so I want to invite us to turn to page 253 for a Mishabera. We hope that everyone finds the inspiration they need and the healing they need of body and soul as we open our ark.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekol Abracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We continue with the Aleinu on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, late gdula leotzeh b'reshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegod aleinu kelchol hamonam, vanachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
As we do each and every week, we remember those who are very much in our hearts and minds but are no longer with us physically in this world. Tonight we remember on the anniversary of their passing, their yard sites, Edith R. Ackerman, Joseph Alexander, Beatrice Balick, Wendy Barnes, Aaron Sonny Benjamin, Ada Blender, Bob Bronstein, Reuben Brown, Saul Ellis Bernstein, Virginia Carpenter, Selma Cohen, Milton Cohn, Lorna Cooper, Lewis Cooper, Myron Cooper, Nathan Krieger, Giltruda Dulise, David Wayne Fells, Ruth Flitter, Morris Gelman, Richard Getson, Milton M. Goldfeder, Isidore Goldsmith, Marvin Goldstein, Louis Greenblatt, Ruth Harris, Max Hockheiser, Lisa Faye Jochnowitz, Eugene Cahan, Donald Capel, Harry Carafin, Joseph Klausner, Adrian Klein, Martin Kravitz, Anthony Kroll, Gert Levinowitz, Harry Lieberman, Sidney Lilienfeld, Ruth Mann, Maxwell Mittman, Sadie Knappen, Barry Ochrag, Manny Rosen, Burton Rosenberg, Irv Rutberg, Frida Diamond Safian, Rose G. Salvage, Adele Schwartz, Bernadine Schwartz, Elaine Seidman, Shirley Seligson, Herman Schaefer, Claire Shaw, Sylvia Silber, Arthur Skolnick, Rebecca Small, Alex Smith, Edith Solomon, Joy Van Bentham, Stella Van Bentham, Judith Wachstein, Gloria Warner, Edith Warren, Max Weiss, Margaret Wong, and Edith Spick. We remember those who have passed in recent days: Bruce Sklar, Evelyn Silver, Michael Sagel, Alvin Seltzer, Albert Albie Brandau, Eric Fishman, Donald Barrett, Barbara Wessel, Irvin Crum, and Peter Frisco. We remember those who are victims of the Shoah, of the Holocaust: Maddie Offenberger, Kate Bradbart, and Israel Nisim. With all of these people in our hearts and minds, I want to invite us to rise if it is your custom and if you're able to. We are on page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh, be'chayechonu yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mevorach leolam ulolmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing to us always. We're going to continue with the Kiddush and Motzi, and so and before that, sorry, I do want to highlight some of the things coming up at Beth Or. This would be a time usually when we would have someone from our Board of Trustees come up and welcome you and say hello. By the way, welcome to anyone who might be joining us for the first time. On Sunday, December 6th, there is an Apex Lunch and Learn with Fred Dugan. You can read all about it. It's big on history, so I hope you will join for that. On Monday night, December 7th, there is a film screening and discussion of I Shall Not Be Silent. It is a discussion between Rabbi Marks and Pastor Kwan about the leaders of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, to review the film about the civil rights movement and Rabbi Joachim Prince's impact on it. So you can stream that movie starting, I believe, right now, if you wanted to, December 4th through December 7th. And then we will have a discussion about it once again on December 7th Monday, December 7th at 6 p.m. You can look that up on our website as well. And I think that gives us a good sense of what's going on in our community. And so with that, I will head over and lift the glass as Cantor Green leads us with the Kiddush.
The Kiddush can be found on page 5 or page 123 in brackets.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lamikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu b'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Amen. The
L'chaim.
L'chaim. I want to thank Hillary Wagner for always baking these delicious chalot, and thank you for carrying us through the pandemic in that way. It looks wonderful. Also, once again, to all of the B'nai Mitzvah families, Mazel Tov to you, and we hope that tomorrow is a wonderful day for everyone celebrating, and of course, our B'nai Mitzvah who will be called to the Torah as Jewish adults. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. We conclude the service with the singing of Adon Olam, which can be found in your Siddurim, that is your blue prayer books, on page 321. 321.
Adon Olam, Hashem Molach, B'terem ko Yitzin Nifra, V'yet Nasa, V'chesta ko, Azai Melech Shemon Nikra, V'yachareh Kiklot ko, Levado Yimloch Nora, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hove, V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara, V'hu Echa V'yein Sheni, Laham Shelo, Lahach Biyara, V'li Areshit, V'li Taklit, V'lo Haz V'hamisra, V'hu Eli, V'chai Goli, V'tzochev li B'yet Sarah, V'hu Nisi, Umanot Nis, Menad Kosi B'yom Mekra, B'ya'ado of Kidrochi, B'yeti Sham, B'yawira, B'imrochi, Gaviyati, Adonai V'lo Yara.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and be safe. Have a wonderful weekend, and an early Happy Hanukkah to you. Shabbat Shalom.